Right, let's have a look if you can see. Right, you should be able to see all right there what we're doing. What did I do with my earplugs? We'll just wait around now for 5 minutes. And we will wait to see who's joining in on this live. Nice to see everyone anyway on this Sunday afternoon. So we're just getting set up now like we do. I'll swig of my tea. Right, this is normally the part of the video where I stand around and mess around with something while you join in on here. Now, we did say yesterday we were going on a live around about this time. Do I need to move anything out of the way? Can everyone see all right? Let me just make sure that camera's good there. Right, lovely. Now we can see. So we'll just wait for someone to come in now and join on the live and we will make a start. So anyway, while we are waiting for that, I will do my introduction to what we are doing today. So I will just grab these and I will show you exactly where we have come with this project. Now, I did have a bit of a nightmare on yesterday's live video. For those of you who joined in on yesterday's live, I decided to use the little tiny benchtop bandsaw. And we were cutting the sides of the timbers, and what I found was the fence had a bit of play in it, all right, and I didn't get good cuts. So what I done this morning, I set the rip saw up, and I've ripped these down, taking all the rough off. Obviously, they started life like this, for those of you who haven't seen. Let me just grab a piece I can show you. Where's the other one? So this is the progress so far. We started off with some maple floor. We obviously ripped all this out on a job. I then sent this through the planers, all right? And we ended up with some maple like this. This is what we planed it down to. We then glued 3 of them together, all right? There's 3 of them glued together, just so you can see. And then I've sent them through the rip saw and I've just cut the sides off. As you can see, the joints are nice. We got some bad bits in here, but what I'm going to do now is just plane this down to a nice dimension, about 35mm by 35mm. I think that's what I'm going to go to today. So we're going to plane them down, and then I can glue all these together to make my board that I'm going to be making. So we've come so far on this. It's taken a good few videos for us to get this far, mind, I'm not going to lie. We've done quite a few hours work on this. But yeah, we're just going to plane these down now. It's a nice bit of planing. I'll show you each piece as it's coming out. There's the 3 we've glued together. Look, they're nice and tight, so we're happy with that. Thank you for the like anyway. That is great. So yeah, we're moving forward on this project now. So we're going to crack on with a bit of planing today. We're going to send these through, and then we're going to have a look what we got. There's loads of different colours. We are going to be making an end grain board. I should have really cut these on a miter saw today so we could have seen how good it's going to look. But I'll crack on with this planing now. Maybe we can do a bit of gluing up today as well. That'd be absolutely great. And we can just move through this job then. So we've done all right this weekend on this. Obviously trying to make time to do these videos and jump on here is not easy. So we go ahead now and we'll start planing these down. start to see these taking shape now. We're just taking little slithers off. Obviously I can't go adjusting the depth for each one, so I'll send them all through and then we'll find the right depth then to start cutting these. So they're looking nice. We're going to definitely get something out of this. I'm getting excited about it. I want to see what we're going to grab out of this and what we can make. But let's just proceed with this now. Hello, how are you, RK Gaming? Right, anyway, so I'm jumping back on here now. We are just going to keep lowering this plane. I'd like to get them down to 35mm by 35mm, and then we're going to have an end grain board, so then we can glue them all up in a row and get the plunge saw, cut them all down. Once I've cut them all down, then I can re-glue and then hopefully I get a board. But that might be on next weekend. But here's the end grain. This is looking nice. It's a nice bit of maple. Don't know if you can see it tidy on here. Here's the sides. So we're just going to get it, plane it down now. I don't know what's in there. Looks like some sort of nail or something. So I hope that's not going to ruin my planer. But anyway, right. We will crack on. Don't know what that is. It looks like some sort of plug. Right. I didn't hear nothing when I went through the planer. So I think we're good. So we're just going to drop this down now. About half a turn. This is what it's looking like now, coming out of the planer. It's really nice. The joints are nice and tight on there. Slightly there, not happy with that bit. But, like I said, this is going to be an end grain board. So I'll chop that with a miter saw. And then I should have some nice usable timber. That's just going to be glued. We don't care about bits like this, but we certainly don't want to be throwing them inside the actual board, do we? So we'll cut these bits out. And I should get a nice size board out of it anyway. We will see anyway. So we'll just carry on with this now, planing these down. Once I get them to a rough dimension, we want to go down to about 35mm on this. And then I can spin them around and then cut the other side then. So yeah, looking forward to seeing these done. How are you, Antonio? Hi, how are you, Vier? How do you say that? Viorel. Anyway, right, so they're coming along nice now. We're going to plane these down to 35 mil. This is lovely timber that we've recycled, like I said previously. I'm liking the look of it. I think it's going to look a beautiful piece when it's done. There's been a lot of graft put into this. I'm just going to have a swig of my tea, and I'm going to carry on planing these then. Don't forget now, those of you who wants to see the final results of this, don't forget you've got to like and subscribe, obviously, to be the notifications bell. You want to be hitting that as well. So obviously when I'm going live, then you can jump on the next video. So we're going to just lower this planer again now. We're going to try and get them down to about 35 mil. It's looking like we're just over 40 by there. So let's have a look, see where we're at. I don't want to be taking too much off. Yeah, we're about 41. So I want to get this down to 35, and then I'm just going to plane both sides of these just to reduce this. So it should be left about half a timber here on either side and a full timber in the middle. And then once we do the end grain, I don't know if you can see that, we're going to spin these and glue them all together. So I think it's going to look nice. It's going to look pretty cool, something a bit different. Somebody's probably done it before, mind, I'm not going to lie, but this is a lot of recycled timber we've used by here, and that's the beauty of this job. So let's crack on with this now. Hello everyone. Right. So we're moving forward now. We're trying to get this down to 35 mil. So we will carry on planing until we get it to 35 mil. And then we can get it 35 mil in this direction then. So that's the plan on this live anyway. There's the end grain. That's what we're going to be looking at on the final results. But like I said, we got a bit off from getting it yet. But we're just going to carry on now and plane this down. Just under 40 mil now, about 39.5, that's saying. So we will carry on playing then. I'm just going to unblock this because it looks like it is full at the back end there. Did I have a bag in here? Because I'm shooting sawdust out everywhere. Tell you what I'll do, I'll just suck it up with the Hoover now. Yeah, we are chock-a-block, yeah? Let me just show you the sawdust that comes off here, off this maple. I know I got a nice bit of cleaning up to do anyway. So here's the sawdust that's coming out of the planer. Thanks for the likes. It's quite thick, it is, and curly. Can you see that? It's not a fine dust, see? So it's a bit of a nightmare. Obviously, it keeps blocking up the hoses and everything. So I got to do regular cleans of it, which is a pain. But just bear with me, because it's fully blocked here. See, it gets stuck. So it gets clogged up pretty quickly, this does. It doesn't take long and it clogs up, but it's only doing it on this maple. If I cut oak, I don't tend to have the problem on oak. Hi, how are you? Right, so let's just carry on with this now. So we'll fire her back up and we'll do another couple of planes and see what the timber's looking like. So that's what it's looking like. It's given a lovely finish, this planer. We have had a few issues on previous lives of a bit of snipe, but it only seems to happen on oak with me. Everything else cuts on this planer pristine. I've never changed the blades and it does well. So I will be putting a new set of blades in at some point, mine. But that's what the timber is looking like. It is looking really nice. Right, so let's crack on with the video for you now. Obviously, this is just planing. You're going to see on here. What does that say then? Satan. Don't know what that means, sadly. Arcade Gaming 9009. So let's just carry on. But if you want to follow this video from start to finish, don't forget to like and subscribe as well, because obviously you can carry on with this video and you can follow it from start to finish. Then all the other videos have been posted on my channel, so you can jump on and see them. So let's just carry on with this. Right, so we're moving forward. We are down to about 38 mil, somewhere around this. We're going to get this down to 35 mil and then we'll spin the timbers the other way then. So all we're doing is planing these sides and then we'll go back to these two faces on here which are looking absolutely beautiful. So here's the timber we've glued together. This is what we're rescuing. For those of you who's just joined, this is what we started off at. I'll just show you once again. Basically, I took a load of floor out on a job. All right, this was maple. A lot of it was water damaged. Some of it wasn't. So this was the timber I took out. All right, some of it was water damaged. We then sent this timber through the planers. And this is what I was left with after I planed it all. And then I decided to glue 3 of these together, which we glued 3 of them together. And then we have skimmed the edges through the rip saw to take off these bits. Then we've taken these bits off on the rip saw, and now I'm planing it down to about 35 mil thickness. And then I will glue all these together, stagger these back and forth, and then we'll have an end grain chopping board, which is going to look fabulous. So that's what we're trying to do. That's what I'm trying to achieve, and that's what we're doing today. So we'll carry on planing these now. I just thought I'd show you for those of you who's just jumped on. If you want to follow this project from start to finish, don't forget to like and subscribe. That is absolutely awesome of you for doing that. And I will just carry on with this. This is the sawdust we're getting off it, see? It's very, very... It's hard to explain it. It's just blocking up constantly. It's quite big bits. Now, if I was planing oak, let me get a piece of this by here to show you. See, it's giving off these little tiny curly bits, the maple. That's the sort of sawdust you're dealing with. Very, very strange stuff. I've never seen that before. Normally it's a bit more dusty, but this stuff seems to clog up. Anyway, we'll carry on with the video now because a lot of you are watching. Well, I don't know what happened on that set. It looked like I was halfway through planing, and then for some reason the depth setting had changed. I don't know if any of you noticed that I knocked it when I was hoovering and cleaning. I don't know. So anyway, we're moving forward on this now. This timber is looking absolutely beautiful. This is the maple that we have rescued. For those of you who have not seen before, a lot of you who are following this channel actually know exactly what we're doing on there. Hi, how are you? So yeah, this is where we're getting with it. It's getting nice. It's getting down to size. 35 millimeters is what we're going to be planing this down to. And we're getting close now. So we're about 37. So we've got about 2 mil to come off. We will take the 2 millimeters off this now. You might be looking at this thinking, hang on, what's he doing there? All that's ruined. But it's not, because we're using this side, the end grain, all right? So that's what we're trying to do with this. So we're just going to move down now. And we'll come down another couple of mil. I think we're getting close to 35 then. I will double check that. It doesn't have to be 35. It can be 34, 36, as long as I'm around that area. But don't forget now, for those of you that's only just jumped on this and want to follow this project from start to finish, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can follow this job right from this very start right to the very end, because every single video is posted on my YouTube channel. So you can click on that and have a look. Right, let's carry on. looks like it's blocked up again. So I just need to clean this out again. Obviously it's getting a bit blocked up, so we will go ahead and just clean this out now. We're getting close. 35mm is what we're aiming for, and it looks like we're going to get to that. We're at 36, so I might do another skim. It'd be nice if I can get rid of some of these pieces, but it doesn't matter because that is just the side that we're gluing up, and that is it. So I'll go ahead and clean this out quickly now. It's starting to get messy in here. That's nice and clean, so we're ready to go again now. So we'll just drop it down once more, and then I can spin the timbers then. So it looks like we got one side planed. That one's not all that great, but all the rest is good. So we got 35mm planed down to there now. We got some decent timber, and now I've got to plane this down to 35mm. So what I'll do is keep swapping both sides until I get it as a nice square. So that's the plan. Let me just check how square we're looking at now. I don't know how good it's looking, but I can't see it being too bad. Let's have a look at this. It's not looking too bad. Tiny little smidge if anything. But all that will pull in lovely when we clamp it all up, so I'm happy with that. I should end up with some beautiful looking timber by there now. So we just need to spin the timber around now and do the other side, and I will see you on the next video.